this video we're going to be looking at just a recap of the difference between what's meant by productivity and efficiency, and essentially why the two of them are important in terms of our long-term living standards. So firstly, productivity, just as a recap, refers to the volume of output that is produced from any given number of inputs. So it's always looking at output per number of inputs, and that can be labour or capital resources. When you're defining productivity, don't just say that it's output per unit of input, provide a little bit more information than that. So it's the volume of output, which refers to goods or services, that is produced from a given number of inputs, e.g. labour and capital resources. We have multi-factor productivity, which is output divided by labour and capital inputs, and then you also have labour productivity, which is output per unit of work, or so per hour, and then there's capital productivity, which is output per machine hour. Efficiency is not just about output per unit of input, it's about using our resources in a way that maximises the net benefits for society and maximises our living standards. It's all about reducing opportunity cost and maximising the living standards of society. Productive capacity can be increased by using either our capital or our labour resources more efficiently. So, for example, labour productivity improves when we use the same amount of labour, but we're able to produce more than we have. And that can be done via skill, education and training, improving people's skills, better work practices, and having policies in place that make people more efficient. And then we have capital productivity, which is all about trying to increase production using the same amount of capital resources, or maximising our output per use of capital resources. And that can be achieved by using more advanced tools and machinery, more innovative methods of production, using the latest technology available. All of that is achieved to try and boost capital productivity. Improved labour and capital and productivity helps to boost our productive capacity because we're able to produce more with our given level of resources. So when you're looking at efficiency, there are three types of efficiency which are different to productivity. We've got technical efficiency, which is about producing at the lowest possible cost and trying to maximise output per unit of input, which is very similar to productivity. Intertemporal efficiency, which is about achieving a balance between the use of resources today and tomorrow, and that can be achieved through things like saving more today, so we're looking after the future, but it also is generally related to environmental policies. And then dynamic efficiency, which refers to how a nation's industries are able to respond to changes in the market. So how efficient we are at producing what society wants and ensuring we're quickly able to shift resources to where they're most in demand by society. So there are lots of different policies that we can use, which are supply-side policies that will help to improve each type of efficiency. So for example, if we want to boost technical or productive efficiency, that's about trying to boost output per unit of input. That generally involves trying to improve skill levels of workers, or it can involve policies to try and improve rail projects or improve our infrastructure so that we're more technically efficient. Intertemporal efficiency, things we could do is provide tax concessions for savings, so people will save more today and therefore have funds available for the future. That will address the savings investment gap. We can also do things like the carbon tax and the emissions trading scheme, which are all involved with trying to preserve our resources going forward. And then we have dynamic efficiency, and that's all about trying to be able to be more responsive to the requirements of society and what people want. So for example, tariff reductions can expose us to greater competition, and therefore we're more responsive to changes in market conditions, because for example, if there's more demand for certain products, then we're going to be quickly going out of business, because if we don't produce it, somebody overseas will produce it and we will import, and we will basically become uncompetitive. So when there was a higher demand for smaller cars, Australian industries were not dynamically efficient enough and to start producing smaller cars, and therefore they went out of business. So if the government was to be able to find ways to provide subsidies to for businesses to produce smaller cars, we may become more dynamically efficient. But generally, dynamic efficiency can be improved via trade liberalisation, so that we have more competition, so that we have to be responsive to customers' needs, or people will just buy foreign products. There's a good case study in your workbook, page on 14.1, which looks at the difference between efficiency and productivity. Thank you.